Hi, and welcome to the first episode of the Knitlicorice podcast. I'm Michaela, and pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'll get started with this episode by sharing a bit about myself and why I've even started this channel and this podcast. And then I'll be moving on to some of my New Year intentions, as well as some works in progress and recent acquisitions. So I hope you'll stick around, and let's get started. So, like I said, I'll get started with an intro. And I thought I'd start with my history in knitting. I've been knitting since I was a child, basically. I have a mother and a grandmother who both do knit a lot, and so growing up it was actually quite natural to have these small projects, working with yarn and doing knit and purl stitches and everything, casting on, doing the long tail cast on. So yeah, I've been knitting since I was small, but it was only in the past year or so that I actually began developing this more of a passion for knitting and started diving deeper into this huge world that knitting really is today. And so I thought it was time that I expanded on that and started this channel so that I could become a larger part of the community and share some of the projects that I'm working on and some inspirations and such. I graduated from school, my master's degree in June. It was a bit earlier than that, and then I started working in August full time. I am a consulting construction project management trainee, I guess you'd say, and it's a full-time thing, 40 hours a week. I do get salary, even though it's called trainee program. I do have a salary, much like a full-time employee does. But yeah, knitting's become where I used to be able to knit a lot during my school years. It's faded a bit in that I have such a short window of time to knit these days. Maybe I'm lucky if I get an hour and a half, 2 hours an evening to knit. So it's mostly weekends and such. I don't have a commuting time that really allows for me to knit. It's so short travel span to get to work, and I do value my sleep, so I wouldn't get up very early to knit before work, you know. But yeah, so that's a change for sure. My plan with this channel was to upload maybe once a month with my progress. Since I do knit quite slowly these days, I figured each month I would have something to show you. So that's my plan, and maybe sprinkle in some additional vlogs in between, theme episodes, for anything that you're excited about really. So just comment below and I'll see what I can do. I have some notes over here, so that's why I'm looking there. But yeah, I started this channel to connect and perhaps inspire. I am knitting some patterns and things that I haven't seen other knitters do. So I thought that maybe that would be an inspiration to some of you, and hopefully be a bit unpredictable with pattern choices, with hopefully a good mix between patterns that are bought, patterns that are free, and patterns that are from books. So yeah, that's my vision for this channel, and I thought we'd move on a bit. But yeah, before I fully begin, I know that it's tradition for a lot of knitting podcasts to start with what you are wearing, so I thought I'd do the same. This is a sweater that I knit earlier this autumn, and it's a free pattern from Espace Tricot. It's called the Paloma, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Otherwise I'll link it below. And I've knitted using, because I combine it with another pattern. I'll put it down here somewhere or over here, so that you know which patterns I combine, because I do have some sleeve decreases here that is not in the original pattern, but otherwise, and the yarn choice is from another pattern as well. But it is knit using Rauma Finull, it's called. And this is a, I guess you'd say, sport weight yarn, really, but it's knit at a DK gauge weight, basically. So it's 175 meters per 50 grams. So it's quite a lot of yarn, and this is, at least in Sweden, it's quite a cheap yarn. Maybe 50 krona per ball of yarn. But it's such a beautiful shade, I think. It's this, I think it's called dark petrol or something, but I only have the color number on here. It's 4127, and it's this dark blue, grey, just a hint of green. And I think it made for a beautiful sweater, really. And I like it very much. It's one of my favorite knits from last year. But more on that in the next episode, which I've already started planning. But yeah, I really like this yarn. It's a bit on the rustic side, but it does soften up a bit, and I'm not too sensitive to wool. But yeah, that is what I'm wearing. I really like this sweatshirt, and yeah, if you want to see some of the other things I knit in 2023 and previously, I do have a Ravelry page for all my projects. I haven't updated it in a few months, but updates will be coming. So this, for instance, is shown as unfinished, but it is finished indeed. Yeah, I'll show us a bit more of my highlights from my projects and my acquisition from last year in next episode. But yeah, let's move on to New Year intentions. So, New Year intentions. We're in 2024 now, and we're a bit into January. But I thought I'd start out with what I was planning for this year originally. Or maybe the first was to start a podcast channel. And I think we're well on the way there with the first episode and everything. But the second thing is to knit more from pantry. I built up my pantry a lot last year. I basically didn't have a pantry before, but then I fell into all kinds of different fibers and materials, summer fibers, winter fibers, unspun fibers, and I'll tell you all about that in next episode, and a bit today as well with my works in progress. But moving on, also I might need to, in order to knit more from pantry, I might need to get some additional skeins just to do the patterns that I'm really excited about. Maybe, yeah, just adding on some additional skeins to complete the projects that I'm really interested in doing this year. And also I'd like to be better at planning ahead. Start knitting for a season much earlier than you think. So if you want a summer garment for June, maybe you'll have to start knitting that garment in March. And yeah, so that's a big kind of thing this year that I want to be better at. Doing those things in time so that I do have some things that I'm excited about for the season when it starts and not by the end of it, basically. But yeah, also realizing that now, since I do work and I'm away most days, that things do take longer than they used to do, and be more conscious about that moving forward, so that I choose patterns that I truly am excited about and working with the fibers that I am most excited about today, so that I can, yeah, truly be more intentional with my knits moving forward. And also, before the year is up, I would like to do a 2-strand project of some sort, so combining a yarn with something else like a mohair or like an alpaca additional yarn strand. So that's something that I'm excited about and do want to do, but probably, since I don't have the yarn for that yet, it will probably be towards the end of 2024, so that I don't get any more yarn at this point in time. So yeah, I'll move on to tell you a bit about my upcoming trips that I have planned for these first 2 quarters, basically, of the new year. Yeah, so like I mentioned, I wish to become better at planning, basically, the things that I knit and why I knit them and for what occasions or seasons. And I do have some upcoming trips that I'm so excited about, that I'm planning for already, and I am knitting for already. And firstly, I'm going to London in the end of February, and for that I do have some projects in mind. And Easter is coming up as well. And in the start of June I'll also be going to a wedding in Southern Europe. And yeah, that includes some summer knitting, what would you call it? Summer knitting challenges, I suppose. So I'm very excited about that, but a bit, again, sorry to tease you like this, but more on that in next episode. Yeah, but perhaps what everyone's most excited about at this point is, okay, but what am I working on at this point in time? My work's in progress. So I thought I'd move on to that section of the podcast. So firstly, what I'm most excited about now is this sweater, which is a bit balled up, I can tell. This is, which side is, oh yeah, this is the front. This is the Mouche sweater. It's a pattern by Albiona McLaughlin. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I am not sure. She's an Irish designer, and she recently revamped this pattern with some unspun Nutiden yarn, and I believe she expanded the size range as well. And yeah, it's this beautiful colorwork sweater, I guess you could say. And I've chosen to knit mine in this charcoal kind of black with white as a contrast color. And yeah, I've just split for the sleeves today and everything. So I guess I could show you how what it looks like. But so it has this basically this beautiful light green with a really crimson red contrast, which came out in a earlier collection of Nutiden this autumn. But it's a 17 stitch gauge, and I am knitting it in Græsgarn, it's called, by Hjelholts Uldspinderi. It's a Danish yarn company, and this is basically their own sheep. It's a rustic, it's a bit more of a rustic kind of yarn. It's 200 meters per 100 grams, and can give you a 17 stitch gauge basically. So it works quite well for this pattern, I think. And yeah, so it's really nice kind of Aran weight yarn, and it's, yeah, I find it's truly beautiful to look at and to work with, although it's been a bit different working at this gauge for me. But yeah, I bought this yarn in a yarn shop in Copenhagen last summer, and yeah, I just finished the short rows. Okay, so the short rows are in the back after the color work. After you do the color work, finish the color work chart. And I basically did, my gauge was way too loose the first time I did it. I used the recommended 5mm needles, and I had swatched before starting this project, but something happened along the way and suddenly it was way too loose. So I had like a 15 stitch gauge, and I could like see my skin poking through the stitches, which I didn't love for a black color like this, or a really dark color like this, to have like, yeah, skin showing through. So I had to rip that back, and then I switched to 4.5mm needles for the short rows and the body. And so far I think it's been working quite well. It also feels a bit less strenuous on the hands, I think, so far. But the interesting thing that I wanted to get to was these are actually wrap and turn short rows. And I don't know if you probably heard like German short rows or something like that, Japanese short rows, but these are wrap and turn short rows. And from what I'd heard from other knitting podcasts, tend to be a bit skeptical about wrap and turn short rows, but I've actually had a good experience. The first time I did these, not so much, but the second time around I found the Pearl Soho tutorial for how to do this, and it was so helpful, really, truly, and it's been working great, for me at least. I'll link it below, or maybe show a image here. But what they do differently in that tutorial, they basically show you how to always get the wrap on the back side of the project, so that it doesn't show nearly as much. And also, for the last short row you do on the wrong side, on the pearl side of the fabric, and then you turn the work around and start going on the right side, round and round. But when you encounter that stitch on the right side, you do need to do some fiddly things in order to get that wrap on the back side of the fabric. And they do show that really clearly in that tutorial. So I can truly recommend it. And I think, at least on this dark yarn, I don't think you can tell very well at all that they are wrap and turn short rows. I'm trying to see them even now, but I don't know that I can. Yeah, but so this would basically be, yeah, the edge of the short row, but I can't tell. Can you? Let me know in case you can, but I think they look great. And I've just put the sleeves on some petite knit, like, what would you call this? It's like a tube, plastic. You can put stitches on, but also to try things on as you go. But I just put the stitches on this because then once I go to pick these stitches back up, I just fit this onto a needle and then pull that needle through with the cord and everything, and just start knitting. I don't have to transfer the stitches in the same way that I would if I had put it on scrap yarn, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So I've been really loving this pattern. I think it's truly striking, especially in this high contrast that the black and white gives you. And I believe that she explains this as it's like rain falling on flowers, and I think it looks like that. And Moiner, she says, means meadow in Irish. So I think it's beautiful. I think it's stunning. So I've been giving that all my time for the past 2 weeks, basically, and been loving it so far. Even though I had to rip back. I mean, that's okay. It's better to have a good fit in the end and be happy with the product that you do. Yeah. Moving on, I think that's all I had to say. Yeah, she recommends also catching the floats longer than 4 stitches. And if you want to, I can either show you how I catch my floats, but I'll also link the video that I've been using, because I am a continental knitter, and when I knit collar work I do have both strands in my left hand. And so there are some ways that you can catch floats, but I really love the tutorial that I've been using, and I think it's a bit of a hidden gem, so I would be super happy to either show it here or put it in the link below. And you can check it out if you too knit collar work, stranded collar work, continental. Moving on, I think would be good. Yeah, so I've also been doing a pattern called, because I was interested in learning how to do toe-up socks, because I got some yarn from my grandmother. But before I did that in like this really thin sock yarn, I thought I'd do like a worsted weight toe-up sock so that I can learn the method before. So this is, first of all, much too large, but it's the Tinne slipper, and it's a pattern by, it's a free pattern by Maja Karlsson for Järbo, it's called. It's a yarn company. But it's basically just a little slipper. It's finished with an I-cord edge on the top, and you work it toe up, basically. And then it's you have this like a little bit of lace going on the side, It's a wrap and turn heel as well. So I did get some practice on this, but then I just followed the instructions from the pattern. Yeah, it's knit in a yarn called Raggi, also by Järbo. It's a worsted weight, I'd say, sock yarn. So it is 70% wool and 30% polyamide, made in Turkey. And it says that on 4.5mm needles you should achieve an 18 stitch gauge. I did not have 4.5mm needles, as the pattern suggests, I believe. I only have 4mm needles. Yeah, they recommend 4.5. I knit this with 4 and it's been working out just fine. I did knit it a bit too long, and that's why I'm hesitant to start on the next. Although it worked up super quickly, and I thought it was a really good introduction to doing toe up. It uses Judy's Magic cast on, and yeah, then you start just with simple make one left and make one right increases. And then you just knit flat until things start happening with the heel, and you finish it off with an I-cord, like I said. But yeah, I don't know when I'll be finishing the second one, but I do really like the yarn. If I show you again, like you can see all the, it's like foresty, speckled, autumn-y colour. I love it. I really like it actually. And I do hope I get to finish the other one during winter, but it's not a priority right now. Basically, it was mostly just a kind of teaching project. But what's fun about this is that you only need 100 grams of worsted weight sock yarn. The con to this, and I'll see if it's, yeah, it's 100 grams for every size, and it ranges from 34 to 35 European size feet size to 45 to 45, size 45. So it's basically kid size up to male adult size. And yeah, I think you can really easily adjust it just by making the foot of the sock slipper longer. It's easy to adapt in that way. Yeah, and it's the colorway Tweedy Forest, I didn't say, but, and I also realized I didn't say what kind of fiber this was. It's a 100% Norwegian wool for this shirt. And yeah, I thought it was interesting. I gave this pattern with some other yarn from Sandnes to my sister this Christmas, and she's been really loving it as well. So yeah, I'll finish off with a project that I've put in basically the naughty corner, I guess you could say. And it's a bit of a shame really, but I'll share with you why it's in the naughty basket. And as you might be able to tell, what a way to hold this up. But this is almost finished. I have the cuff of a sleeve and then a sleeve left. This is a Kume sweater by Vanessa Pelissa. It's a 15.5 stitch gauge, and I believe she writes the original sample was knit in Nutiden, or Nutiden, maybe I should say, because I am Swedish. But yeah, what happened with this project was basically I knit everything and I split for sleeves, and I started knitting the body, but then in between I knit a hat for my dad, also in Nutiden, and it's, yeah, just a stockinette hat, a Mossaborough, but I adapted the stitch count to fit his head, basically. And after that, after I'd gotten so good at doing a stockinette stitch with unspun yarn, because this was my first project in unspun yarn, which Nutiden is, an unspun yarn. I'd gotten so good at it that my gauge changed, and it got a lot tighter working from like here down. So this shirt is now too small on the body, And I haven't had the heart to rip it out, because as you can see, there are these beautiful side details to this shirt, and it's a combination of, yeah, it's a braid and some lace. It's a faux, like a faux braid on the side using lace. And it's beautiful raglan construction, seamless garment with a double knit collar. And yeah, it's beautiful, truly. But I just didn't have the heart to rip it out. At least not yet. But like I mentioned, it's knit in Nutiden in the color Alkemi. And I do still have some left, because I haven't finished the project, and I don't think that I'll be using the 500 grams that I bought of this yarn. The spring of 2023, I think I bought this. But it's, yeah, I don't think my camera will be able to show you fully what this looks like, but it's like a creamy kind of a color, and it leans a bit green almost, but it also has these purple and orange flecks going throughout it. And yeah, like I said, I don't think my camera will show this justice, but maybe it will. I don't know. Alkemi in any way, any case. So yeah, that's sort to say in the naughty bin. If I do pick it up again, I might tell you a bit more about the pattern, because I did struggle with some things, but for now I'll move on to acquisitions. For acquisitions, I thought I'd start with basically the only yarn I was planning on purchasing for a foreseeable amount of time, basically, and it was really inspired by Handmade by Florence, as well as High Fiber Knits, Emily on High Fiber Knits. And I was so intrigued that I saw this color, and it was at a reasonable price. I couldn't resist. It's a sweater quantity worth of BC Garn, Loch Lomond, in this beautiful baby blue shade. It's color 21. And yeah, it feels so interesting to touch. Actually, it feels very dry in texture. It's almost paper-like, I think. Even though it is 50 grams, it feels lighter. I don't know how to describe it, but it feels so airy and light. I did cake some up the other night, and maybe I'll insert some footage of that. But otherwise, here's a cake of it, all spun up. If you want to, I'll show you my setup, of course, that I use to wind yarns that come in hanks. I find that it's truly worth investing in a setup that works for you. Although hand winding, of course, will work. Of course, it will work. But yeah, for sure, it does take some time to have a setup if you do knit a lot from buying hanks. I love this shade of blue, and I think it's the only blue wool yarn that I have at the moment in my pantry. And it will be really exciting to swatch these, because I think Florence from Handmade by Florence made a similar observation. It is 150 meters per 50 grams, but it has a recommended gauge of 18 stitches per 10 centimeters. And I think, like, for anyone who's new, it seems to me more like a light DK, almost a sport weight kind of a yarn. And yeah, like basically it's more similar to this in length than perhaps a DK that would be, yeah, a bit shorter length for 50 grams. But yeah, it's a 100% organic wool, and it'll be really exciting to see if this does swatch up to 18 stitches. And if it does, I was originally planning at least to knit a Helia sweater, and I'll I think I'll put an image here, and also with the designer, because that has left my mind at the moment, what she's called. But it's this beautiful sweater with like braided details going all throughout the sleeves, raglan, Helia pullover, and it looks truly beautiful, and in I think a similar shade to this. So I thought it might be perfect if the gauge indeed works at 18. Otherwise, I don't know what I'll do, but I'll happily take some suggestions if you've made anything with this yarn and you were pleased with the gauge that you achieved. I would love to know. Sorry about that, I had to quickly change my battery, but yeah, enough of that. I thought I'd move on to 2 books that I got for Christmas, which I did wish for, but you know, I thought I'd show them anyway. It's 2 books, and the first one is this sweet, sweet Mouche and Friends book, and it's a book by Laine Publishing, I think, with Cinthia Vallet, and it's a bunch of cute, yeah, knit animals that you can knit all kinds of accessories and things for. Sweet little items of clothing. Yeah, hopefully you can see that. And oh shoot, I forget what her channel is called, but I'll put it here. I believe she did some sample knits from this, using this book, and I thought it was just so sweet that I really wanted to see for myself. And the other book I got, which feels like a sort of almost knitting Bible at this point, like if you're a knitter, this is a book you might know of, basically, and it's also by Laine Publishing. It's 52 Weeks of Socks, and hopefully using this I can become even more adept at knitting socks, basically. But it has all of these beautiful sock patterns, and I'm so excited to try this out, truly. I'll just have to see what I settle on doing first. There are so many that I just... But yeah, if you have a recommendation for a pattern that you really think I should start with, please go ahead and put it down in the comments. I'd love to know about your experiences using this book. And yeah, once I get more into it, maybe I'll talk about it some more. But for now, those are 2 books that are also now part of my knitting library, I guess you'd say. So excited to start using those. And also, this is not... Oh, I guess those books weren't either. They were gifts, and this is as well, rather than acquisitions. But I did receive such a wonderful gift from my grandma this Christmas, and it's these classical Scandinavian knit mitt. It's called a Lovikka vante, and it's using yarn that's produced way up in the north of Sweden. And it's, I think this is quite a classical, yeah, just white, and then you have some contrasting colors as well. But yeah, you knit this knit and then you rough it up a lot, so you can see hopefully that this is really fussy, and that's on purpose, basically. And it's roughed up on the inside as well, and that truly gives much better isolation from the cold wind during winter. So it makes for a warmer pair of mittens, because normally I think just like straight stockinette stitch, which this is not the warmest, but you rough it up the surface and then it becomes such a warm mitt. I can use this very comfortably to -5 degrees Celsius, which is, I don't know, something in Fahrenheit. So yeah, I'll I'll keep on using these all throughout winter. In Stockholm where I am, the winter stays with us sometimes even to May. I'm sad to say, but I know this summer of 2017 it snowed in May, and I was upset about it, but hopefully we won't have snow in May this year. Yeah, so I truly love these, and they're a great beginner-friendly pair of knits. I don't know, I haven't seen any English knit patterns for Lovikka vantar, but yeah, it's quite straightforward, I think. Because it's usually, yeah, there are not even any increases, so it's straight up. It's just stockinette stitch, and then you turn it after you knit this first bit. You turn the work inside out, and you keep on working, you know, this part of the knit, and then you just put these stitches on hold. You keep on knitting just straight and then decrease symmetrically from the edges. And you pick up the stitches from the inside, I believe. Oh, but my grandmother's so good, I can't even tell that she picked up stitches. That's amazing. Yeah, marvel at her work. But yeah, and then it's just yonk, and you do some rapid decreases towards the end of the thumb, I think. So yeah, it's not a very difficult thing to do, really. There are probably similar things out there already, free. You do it in a thick yarn, and then you rough up the surface. Yeah, so that's it, I think, for this very first Knit Licorice podcast. And if you've lasted this long, I believe that this episode might be a long one. But if you've stuck with me all throughout and you're still here, thank you so much for watching. I am planning to upload sometime again during January, and if you're excited about different things that I am, such as knitting or travel, which if you're excited for that, and maybe I will get some yarn in England, even though I told you I would perhaps not buy that much more yarn, but I mean, how can I resist? How can you resist? I can't. So if you're excited for that trip and like what you saw here, maybe give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you want to see the next time that I upload. Again, I'm so grateful that you're here, and hopefully I'll talk to you in the comment sections. But for now, bye!